Hello guys, this is IPTech here and I'm back with another video. So I know I haven't done a video in the last 2 weeks. I've just been busy and I finally got a new mic for my computer which I built. So now I'll have my new gaming PC so that I can do gaming on. And if you might notice, this video is a bit different than my other ones, as I'll be talking over some gameplay. So I'll be doing a PC build, but it's just gonna be over some gameplays on the usual screen capture. And I hope you enjoy it. It's a bit of my Dying Light gameplay. It's a bit old gameplay, but it's the only one I have at the moment, and I didn't have time to record some more. So hope you enjoy it. And this is gonna be my ultimate 4K PC, gaming PC and editing build. So this is focused at 4K gaming. So um, and also editing 4K footage for like uploading to YouTube or just in general 4K editing. So this will be like a beast rig, and it's gonna come at a hefty price tag, as it will be around £2,200, which is the most expensive build I've done so far. And let's get on with the parts. So the first part is the CPU, and if you're planning on editing 4K footage, you need a beast CPU. Like, you need a CPU that can handle like 4K footage. And at the moment, the best value for money, it's a bit on the expensive side, is the 6-core 5930K from the i7 5930K. It's the Haswell E lineup, so it's the one of the top end. I wouldn't recommend going with the extreme editions, because the extra performance you get, it's not worth the extra money you're paying, as you're probably paying about twice as much for the 5960X. So I would suggest like the 5930K, which is much cheaper, and it's gonna give you similar performance. It's not gonna be as fast, but it's still a 6-core processor that's hyper-threaded, so you get 12 cores. And it's clocked at 3.5 GHz, which it's a K version, so you can overclock it nicely. And sorry about the background noise, it must be annoying. But I have my window open at the moment, as it's extremely hot today. And just try and power through this. Next, we need a cooler to cool the CPU, because the CPUs, if you plan on overclocking them, and over voltage, so you add an extra voltage as well, they're gonna start to run pretty hot, especially in editing, as editing is gonna max them out and put really stress on them. Gaming not so much, because the CPU is not, it's a massive overkill for gaming, as you don't need more than 4 cores ideally. But future games might use the extra cores, so it's kind of future proofing, which I don't like to use that word, but I guess it kind of applies here. And it's more for editing, as you need the extra cores to be able to edit 4K videos faster, as they're pretty demanding, and we will tax your CPU pretty hard, so you need a cooler. And the one I would recommend is the Corsair H100i. It's a very good CPU cooler from CPU cooler from Corsair. It's an all-in-one liquid cooler, so you get a 240 millimeter radiator with two 120 millimeter fans that are producing a very nice high static pressure, so you get some very good cooling, and it's gonna be pretty quiet as well, so it's gonna be quieter than traditional air cooling. And next is the motherboard. With this build, I went with one of the best motherboards you can get, and one of the best looking ones as well. So if you look at the parts list, I'll link it in the description below. You'll see that I'm going for a black and white build, and the motherboard is gonna fit our build pretty perfectly. It's the Asus X99 Deluxe. So it is on the LGA 2011 3 socket, which our CPU is on, which our CPU uses, and it's one of the best motherboards you can get from Asus. Or the features you get of this motherboard are very high end, and it is pretty expensive at 200 over 200, close to £300. But it does have plenty of uh, rear port I/O, very good cooling for the VRMs and chipset, and it does have eight RAM modules, so you can do, because the new Haswell architecture does support quad channel, so you can have quad channel memory, which we will be taking advantage of. And you do have a massive amount of SATA ports, and you can do a freeway SLI with this board as well. So if you want a freeway, but for our build, we're just going to with a single card, as I believe single card gives you uh, the multi-card or SLI or Crossfire, wherever you like. I think it doesn't scale well, so the extra card doesn't give you twice as much performance. It usually is about up to 50%, which I don't think is worth the doubled price. So I would suggest going with the highest single graphics card instead of going SLI. But this is it's a very good motherboard, and I would strongly recommend it if you want to go on the X99 path. So if you're doing an X99 build, it's one of the best ones. And for the RAM, as I mentioned before, this motherboard and CPU does support quad channel memory. So what I chose the Corsair Vengeance LXP 32 gig kit. So for which is four 8 GB DIMMs at 2400 megahertz, and it's DDR4, as the 2011 3 CPUs only support DDR4. So they're a bit more expensive at £230, more expensive than DDR3, but they are high clocked, so the RAM doesn't really affect gaming, but it does. It could. The capacity could affect your editing, as the more RAM you can throw editing software like Premiere Pro or Sony Vegas, the better. So I would suggest going with 32 gigs might be an overkill, but we are going for an ultimate build, so I'd want with 32 gigs, but 16 gigs will be probably enough for any type of editing. And next we need some fast storage, so we can, because 4K files are gonna be very big, and you need some. So you need to be writing and reading those files very quickly and efficiently. So I went with an SSD in RAID 0. So I have chose two Samsung 850 EVO series 250 gig SSDs, and we're gonna put them in RAID 0, which again is RAID 0. So you get 500 gigs of extremely high speed. You probably reach a gigabit a second, a gigabyte per second. Sorry, read and write speeds, which is pretty impressive, and it's gonna be plenty for 4K reading and writing 4K files. And you also need some storage, so you need to store those files away somewhere, and those massive files not gonna be fit on SSD. The SSD storage is it's still not as high as a hard drive storage, so I would still suggest getting a hard drive, a 3.5-inch hard drive, and I chose a WD Black Series 4TB hard drive. It's a 100 RPM hard drive with 64 megs of cache, and it's one of the fastest hard drives you can get. Or you could, if you want, you can go with a hybrid drive. Those offer higher speeds, but only for apps that you frequently use. But if you're not installing the operating system on it, then I would not waste money on that, on a hybrid drive. And next, let's move on to the graphics card, which is gonna be the center of our gaming build, and it's still gonna affect and it will affect our editing as well. And for this, I chose with one of the best value for money cards at the moment, and it's the GTX 980 Ti. At the moment, uh, it's pretty similar to a Titan X, which costs a lot more, and you're getting pretty much the same performance as the Titan X, which is the fastest single graphics card there is, but at a lower price. So at the moment you can't beat a GTX 980 Ti for the money. Maybe when maybe the Fury X is sort of a competitor and at the same price point, but it's up to you if you prefer and if you prefer Nvidia or AMD. But you have to be careful with the AMD because they're on very short supply, so you might have to wait a while until they're available for everyone to purchase. And benchmarks do suggest that they're trading blows with each other, so they are pretty comparable. But I think in most cases the 980 Ti does win over, and it does have more VRAM, so it could have more future support for games, as they're starting to use a lot more VRAM, as you can see in GTA 5, which can go up to over 5 gigs of usage on the high settings. And if you want to max out games at 4K, then that's gonna really tax the VRAM, and you want to have enough storage for that. Next we need a case, and I chose one of the best cases and one of the most popular cases out there, the Fractal Design Define i5. This is the windowed version, so it's gonna give you a bit of less acoustic protection, but it's gonna look, and it's gonna look better as you can show off your components. And it's one of the best cases. I'm pretty sure everyone's heard of the Define R5. It's one of the most popular ones out there. So, and next we have the Corsair 850 80 plus platinum certified fully modular ATX power supply. So I went with an 850 watt. So 80 plus platinum, so you get super good efficiency and over 90% efficiency or 94% efficiency. And I chose 850, which could be overkill for this system at the moment, but this will give us some room for replacing the graphics card in the future. So if in a few years time the new graphics card comes out that's needs a lot more power, then this should last a good 3 or 4 years at least. And it's a very high-end power supply from Corsair, and it is fully modular, so it's going to be very good to cable manage, as the Define R5 does support pretty good cable management. So you'll be able to hide your cables and don't have to have excess cables that you need to try to find a place to hide them somewhere. So this is the power supply I would suggest, or you could go with a lower wattage if you're not planning on doing major upgrades to the build. But if you wanna think in terms of the future, not future proofing, which is not the best word to describe this, it's future compatibility. So future proofing means that you're immune to the future, which it's not gonna be the case. And yeah, I would suggest getting a 50 watt now and don't have to worry about replacing the power supply in your next upgrade period. And this is it for the build, guys. So this build came up to about just under £2,200 at the moment, so at the time I'm recording this video. But prices do change, so do leave a PC Parts Picker link in the description so you can check them out. And if you look at the moment, the estimate TDP of this system is 530 watts, which is, as I said, we have plenty of headroom with the 850 watt. And it would support, even if you wanted to maybe do SLI, which I wouldn't recommend, as I said before. But if you wanted to SLI the 980 Ti, then this should support it and should be able to handle it. Maybe it might not be enough if you're planning to massively overclock the video cards, but in most cases you should be fine. So this is it for the build, guys. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you enjoyed the gameplay as well, and I'll probably be doing a lot more gameplay footage from now on since I got my gaming PC ready at the moment. So like the video if you want me, uh, if this helped you and if you are planning on doing this build. And as I said, I'll leave the link down in the description to where you can find this list of components. And thanks for watching.